And we are live. Hello, everyone. Hello, my name is Sandra Jennings, and this is Passion Speak, where we give those with a passion a platform to speak. And thank you for watching. Tonight, we are going to talk to three. Well, we were scheduled to talk to three people, and due to the weather in our area, one of them lost power. And due to work, because one of them is on the West Coast in Los Angeles, she's not going to be able to be with us. But I still wanted to share with you information about them. But our main speaker tonight is going to be Anissa Eddy, MSW. She is the founder and principal consultant for Liminality Consulting LLC. Anissa is a Pritzker Fellow with the National Collaborative for Infants and Toddlers, which is a nationwide effort to prioritize a strong start for infants and toddlers by ensuring a healthy start at birth. She is a school-based social worker and outpatient therapist and is currently pursuing her doctorate degree from Michigan State University. Welcome, Anissa. I don't know if you were able to hear what I just said.
Yes, thank you for the introduction.
Oh, good. Okay. Technical difficulties, right? So again, our girls who were not able to make it, Piper, Adonya, and hopefully all of her social media stuff is right up there. She's an illustrator, visual storyteller, and big contributor to the book. She is without power, so she's able to watch us on low power, but she may have to tune out at any moment. Also, Naomi Marie Silas. She's the founder of Seventh Creative. She cannot be here. She cannot watch because she is stuck at work in Los Angeles. So we're going to take this and on their behalf and make them proud. Piper says she's here in the comments. Hey.
Hey, Piper. Yes, hopefully I will carry their spirit with me in the conversation.
Yes, we miss you, Piper. We want to see a lovely face. And Rasheen Sims says hello.
Hi,
Hey,
Rasheen.
Thanks for tuning in. So, Anissa, we are talking to kids about race. And I'm kind of excited about this because I don't know if I've ever seen anything. And of course, illustrated by Piper. See all those beautiful images?
I know. That's gorgeous.
It is. When I first saw it, I thought, wow, that'll be really good. I'll get it for my grandchildren. Then I learned it's for educators and professionals and caregivers and grandmothers and parents and anyone else who wants to, community people in general who want to learn about how to talk to kids about race. So where did this come from? How was it hatched? Whose baby was it? Whose dream was it? Talk to us.
Yes, it came from, I don't know all of these specifics of the history, but it has certainly it has gathered many mothers and fathers and caregivers along the way as this idea and this project has grown. But the original workbook that had the same title, the Talking to Kids About Race workbook, was connected to a workshop and training module through the Lakeshore Ethnic Diversity Alliance, otherwise known as LEDA. So they're on the Lakeshore, but they do different trainings and professional development and just share so many resources trying to promote equity in our communities and our workplaces and schools. And they had developed a workshop that was specific to talking to kids about race. I think it was really originally geared a lot towards early childhood educators. And that was back in 2012. So it was really amazing that even at that time, before we had such a kind of awakening, I guess you could say, to some of these issues and some of these priorities, they were already starting to do that work. But the workbook had gotten a bit outdated. You know, like I said, it was created in 2012. I think it had a few tweaks maybe in 2014, but they wanted to update it a bit and just look at the workshop content. And that's where I came in. That's where it became a little bit of my baby as well. So I was approached by the interim director at the time, and she knew that I had an interest in this topic area and just asked if I'd be willing to update the workbook. And originally I thought maybe I'd just change a little bit of the language, add some more resources. But the more that I looked at it, I saw an opportunity to almost do a complete revamp and create something that could have even greater reach and more accessibility to the adults in kids' lives.
Okay, beautiful. Beautiful. So, um, if there are, as I go through the pages, there are a number of people who have contributed to the project. I mean, the list is so long, including Naomi, including Piper. Um, so how did they, I mean, did Lita, the Lakeshore Initiative, approach you about rewriting or refashioning their book or their
Yeah.
curriculum?
So it was originally, yep, they had this workbook that was in print. And when they approached me, I started just looking it over and certainly felt equipped enough to make some changes and some updates. But as I said, the more I looked into it, I felt like there could be something more. And that's really where I was inspired to bring on some collaborators. So I went to Lita, I talked to them, I had their full support. And that's how some of the other partners and collaborators were drawn in. Piper was top of my list. We actually met for coffee and I pitched her the project and she was just in from day one. And I was so excited because I was familiar with her work. I was familiar with some of the visual illustrations she'd done. And I just knew that she was able to capture so much emotion and really messaging in the way that she does her art. So when she came on for the project, I was super excited. And then I also realized that although I had information about this topic, even based in research and my own lived experience as a child, and just kind of struggling through my own racial identity. And then as a mother raising 3 Black boys, I could bring all of those lenses to the project, but I didn't want it to only be my perspective and my voice. So that's when I reached out to some others to just ask them to read over things, to give additional suggestions. I wanted to make sure that there was multiple different diverse backgrounds of folks who were coming to this project and contributing their ideas and thoughts. And that's how the rest of the contributors came onto the project. And then when we eventually realized it was really going to become a book, that's when we needed to bring in Naomi to have that layout and design work, which really tied it all together.
I like that you said that you want to bring in everyone. Somewhere in the book, I've skimmed the whole book. Somewhere in the book, I read where you have to ask, if you're trying to do this work, you have to ask yourself the question, are you leaving anyone out? And so many times we see in the media where a group of people or a race of people or a community sect has gone up in arms because they felt like they were not sitting at the table. So I appreciate you doing that, bringing a lot of people in. In fact, Naomi was producer and did a lot of the layout. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes. So Piper was very upfront to just, let us know, had all the skill and expertise with the illustrations. But as far as formatting, where text would go on the page and the pictures and those kinds of things, really thought it would be good to bring someone else on. And so when we brought on Naomi, not only was she able to help us with just the graphic design layout of the book, but she also was inspired by Piper's illustrations to bring in different design elements and different colors. So whether it's just a color bar behind text that matches, or she used a lot of different geometric shapes. And it has a little bit of whimsy, which I think lends itself well to the focus on children, but it also just broke up some of the dense text because it is sharing a lot of information. And I really love how it came together, and it would not have been possible, though that's certainly beyond my skill set. And so the pieces that they brought really took that project to the next level.
I really like that. And I learned some things. Infants are able to non-verbally categorize people by race and gender as early as 6 months of age. I didn't know that, but I guess your childhood education filled me in on that one. And then you have guidelines for talking to youth about race, and it has key takeaways. I like this book. It gives you some ideas of how to conversate with children, with kids, like actually what to say, like what is a good response. And it gives a number of potential responses, like if a child asks, why is his eyes different, and you say focus on the positive, like that child's eyes is beautiful, and you want them to, in the book, you want them to frame beauty. You want them to see beauty in differences.
Yes. And I think a big piece of it is to not shy away from the differences that children articulate, that they notice, and that they point out, because that's very natural. And it's a huge part of how young children begin to make meaning of their world. It's completely appropriate for their development for them to notice things that are similar, things that are different, and to make comments about that. Too often, because adults have so much more baggage around some of these things, we want to just quickly shut down the conversation and not enter into it because we feel maybe embarrassed by a comment they said, or we maybe even feel some shame or just some uncertainty about how to respond. But that really creates a more negative connection. So even if you just make a comment to say, we don't say that about other people, it just leaves the child a little bit confused. And even if they made a comment noticing a difference, if you shut it down like that, they're going to associate, okay, that must be something bad. And we don't want that. So when a child does make a comment, for example, saying something like, why is her hair so weird? Instead of just being like, we don't talk about that, to be able to say something like, I think you're noticing that her hair is different than yours. And talking about some of those characteristics. Yes, her hair is a lot more curly than yours, and it's in a different style than yours. And that's what you're noticing. It's not weird. It's different. And and just being able to talk about it like that, so that they can know it's okay, but they can also be corrected and redirected right away to not say things that are harmful, but also not be shamed for noticing things that are different,
including the color of skin.
Exactly.
And I like to. There's so much I like about the book.
I can tell you're a super fan.
Skin color doesn't wipe off for ages 2 and up. So how many times do children go up and want to touch?
Yeah, that's pretty common, especially if it's something that's different. And I have heard so many different anecdotes, especially in more of the early childhood space, preschool, kindergarten age, where children from more of a Euro-American background, white children, see darker skin tones as being dirty. And it really is just because maybe if their skin had that kind of a brown color, it could be because it was dirty, but trying to help them understand, like, no, skin color doesn't wipe off. This is not something that is because a child is not clean, and helping them know that there's all different colors of skin, and even looking closely to notice that skin is made up of all different types of tones and shades, even the categories we use like black and white. It's hard because children are so concrete, and it's like, but I'm not black or she's not white. And to help them understand that some of those phrases represent groups of people, but really there's all different shades of tan and brown that make up our skin colors. Having those conversations and taking away bad connotations, just allowing it to be what it is, which is different, which is good.
Cool. That is cool. Guidelines for talking to young children about race, some of the key takeaways. In the back, you've got some activities, and I really like this one. And I don't want to just give the whole book away, but for this particular activity, you need a red apple, a green apple, and a yellow apple, and a cutting tool, whether it's an apple core or a knife or whatever. And you can kind of see where this activity is going, but you give here some responses that the educators or the parents or the grandparents can talk about. Like in the inside, they're all the same. The outside is just different. That's cool. And there are other activities in here. Oh yeah. And references. So
we really wanted the book to be a mix of information and kind of some factual background pieces, but also tangible tools that any adult could use immediately after reading this. So examples of things to say, examples of activities to do, examples of different kinds of books and media to offer and expose their children to, and even examples we include quite a bit for adults' continuing learning journey when it comes to anti-racism and just learning about diversity and equity and inclusion. So we wanted it to be useful, not just like, oh, this is good, now I know some new things, but I actually have some direction and guidance on how to do some new things. And I know that you come to even your series around passion. And for me, a big part of the passion that drove me to be interested in this project and even connects me more deeply to ongoing work in this area is the fact that I really, really want all children to be able to understand deeply their self-worth and their beauty and their belonging. And I really believe that we have to start these conversations early. We see so much in adults what devastation and harm can be caused by division and misinformation and bias. And I think to realize that as much as we maybe are trying to do now as adults to unlearn things that we missed or that we were maybe even mistaught or history that we didn't quite understand, there's so much we can do on the front end. So I'm super passionate about being proactive and helping young children to understand some of these differences and also have very inclusive mindsets and very positive views of themselves, because I believe that that's a way to proactively address the consequences of racism. Your brain never develops as rapidly as it does in your first 3 years of life. So I'm drawn to that age group because it feels like such a great opportunity to be setting the foundation for how they're going to view themselves and how they're going to view others. And that's something I'm really passionate about.
Oh my God, I love that. I love that. Your passion really came through on that. So who else is in a perfect world? Who do you want to pick this up, to get it? Whose hands should it be in?
So, I mean, we wanted it to be really accessible. I know I've heard of some friends that are planning to like use them as teacher gifts. I love that idea. So when you're kind of like, okay, do we give another candle or, a coffee gift card? And I know the teachers love the coffee gift cards, but just in thinking about giving it to your own child's teacher and just thinking about that, I do think that there's so many of these conversations that come up in classroom spaces, because that's often where children have the opportunity to interact with a wider range of different peers, even if maybe their home setting or their neighborhood setting is more homogeneous. So I think it's a great resource for teachers. I really would love childcare providers to, whether it's, the auntie who's watching the babies or a childcare center or a home-based provider, because we think about these kinds of issues being attached to verbal language, but even for babies to start to enter into these conversations and the way that you interact, they are already just absorbing everything like sponges. And we see bias that's measurable already by 3 years old. So that means something's happening or not happening in those earlier spaces. So childcare providers, parents, and another group that's started to show a lot of interest in this book and that I've been meeting with is the community of foster parents and adoptive parents, especially when those relationships are transracial. So you might have white caregivers or parents caring for children of color. And so to be equipped with these resources to make sure that that identity development is starting off very healthy and very strong is another important population to think about with this work.
In addition to grandmas.
Of course, yes, grandmas, definitely, especially because we already know that grandmas speak truth. So they'll be like, "Oh, my grandma said it, I believe it." So
I believe it.
It's a great resource for grandmothers.
Okay. Yeah, I don't want to give away the entire book because we will talking. Again, shout out to Piper and Naomi and the Lakeshore. Tell me the Lakeshore
Ethnic Diversity Alliance. And my understanding is that they definitely are still offering the Talking to Kids About Race workshops. So that's something that if you go to their website, you can have some contacts there. And then it's also something that I certainly, offer trainings and engagements with different groups around. And I don't know if we told people where they can find this book yet.
Well, we haven't, and I think I had a glitch when we went live. So all of your contact information, I'm not sure if it got in there, but I'm definitely going to put it in the comments.
Awesome.
As soon as as soon as we're finished here. But Schuler Books. Now, when I got mine this weekend, I went to Schuler Books and I said, well, I don't know if you'll be, I went to the desk. I said, I don't know if you'll be familiar with it. It's, small publisher for the most part. And I told her the name. She said, oh yeah, that's flying off the shelves. And so they had a special little display kind of in the middle of the store at Schuler, right in Grand Rapids. And sure enough, there was a small stack, just a small stack. I could see where the books were leaving. But I'm going to also put that link in there. Hopefully it made it. I don't think it did because it felt like I had a glitch because the storm was pretty heavy.
Yeah. I
So
just put it in the private chat to you, but I don't know if that's something you can share. I've really, really enjoyed working with Schuler. The partnership there, we were super excited to support local, but also they have just this unique opportunity because they can print books right in-house at their store with their chapbook press. And so I worked with Pierre there at Schuler and just want to give him a shout out because he was so helpful and really helped us to make sure that we had everything formatted to work. And it's awesome because they can kind of print on demand. So it has been selling well, but then they've been able to print and restock pretty quickly. And we love that it's connected to a local business. And even though it's available in store, you can also order it online and they'll ship it anywhere. So it's still accessible even beyond Grand Rapids. And
it's
it's been
ebook
great
as
to
well,
work with
right?
them. What's that?
It's ebook as well.
Yeah, there is an ebook version as well. And so that can be found and you can get it for Kindle. That's on Amazon. But the print version can easily be shipped to your address. So even if you're not local to Grand Rapids, it's still very accessible.
I would get the print version because you're going to want to write in the margins. It's kind
Yes,
of like
and I really love how the print version perfectly pairs the illustrations with the text in the way that we design. Depending on how you download the ebook, sometimes it's a one-page version, so you'll just see an illustration and then the next page you'll see the text. But the way Piper did the designs, it really just flows. So I love being able to see it in a two-page spread and look at it together. So I also would recommend the print version.
Okay, very good. Okay, so I guess we're gonna wrap it up. I really miss Piper and Naomi. I'm so
I
sorry you
know.
couldn't make it.
We have to do a part 2.
Yeah, but we're passing on your love today for sure.
Yes, yes.
Okay. All right, Anissa, thank you for joining me. You have been watching Passion Speak, where we give those with a passion a platform to speak. And you certainly have got a passion for this project, and I appreciate you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
All right.